I'm Liam Knight.
My name is Toby Rudolf.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What are we doing?
We are stuck in the middle.
A Stuck in the Middle podcast. It's the shit.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're an idiot for not watching it. Thank you, everyone. We're back at the Stuck in the Middle podcast with my dear friend Tobias, Eric Rudolf, and a special guest here today, the man, the myth, Roger the Dodger, the sprint coach of the Eastern Suburbs.
Yeah, I'm the sprint coach of the world.
Of the world.
yeah, I was
Well,
gonna
the
say
number one,
Australia.
the number
Yeah,
one,
well, you can
number
say-
one in the Eastern
That's a
Suburbs, number one in your
formality.
hearts,
Yeah.
number one in Australia. What do they call you? The King of Cadence.
The King of Cadence is, I think Hello Sport gave me that nickname, and then I like it actually. It's not a bad name. I'll live with that one.
I had to listen to that. I really liked that. I thought that was just a worldwide the
Yeah,
phenomenon of the King of Cadence. But
And I'll be honest with you, I thought before we start getting into it, I thought that when I heard that you two guys are doing a podcast together, I did reach out and I think I mentioned it too in the cafe. I hope you get me on. I'm actually enjoying doing. I've only done 3.
yeah.
So we're the third.
Yeah.
Okay, we're bronze medallion.
At least you're on the
ideal.
fucking podium. That's one good
It'll be a
thing.
strong
You're not
finish.
You're not sitting in the crowd selling
He
ice
got
cream.
the average ones out of the way, and
Yeah,
he wanted to
yeah.
perfect
Warmed up.
what he was going to
I
say,
think
and now he wants to come to the
100
main event.
You just took my swag.
And we're lucky enough to have the carbon copy of the perfection of the Roger.
Exactly, because I needed those two to just get my grip going.
Get your groove.
And look at you.
And now
Yeah,
we're
it's
ready. And now we
dripping.
have
I've gone
the
to
Russian circus act, Lion Tamer.
Yeah, I just will keep going to another level, and I hope that the listeners stick around to watch at the end because I'm going to reveal a secret.
This man means business. We do appreciate everyone tuning into this podcast. We love everyone that can spare the time to listen to what we have to say. If you're liking it at all, please subscribe, like.
Bro,
Do what
you
you
got the
do.
worst frog in your throat. Get it out.
What
is
just
it? You sound
happened,
like
bro?
Kermit.
I didn't think that was real.
No, that was real.
We'll try it again. Yeah, if you're liking it, share it. If you don't, just like it and follow us for sympathy if that's all we can get for you. But please
good.
share if you enjoy it. We're enjoying doing it, and we love having the guests on. We do, and we're lucky enough to have the man here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
looking
you.
forward to it.
Thanks for dressing up. I
it's
don't think
standard.
we've had a guest with this kind of intensity.
Yeah, well, at the very least, I can walk out with the best dress, can't I?
Yeah,
So
we'll
if
have
I'm
to
not
have
the best
we'll have to
podcaster-
bring some sort of trophies for what the guests bring.
I
You'll
think
be
so, and I
bringing a
think that
fair
I'll
bit.
hopefully set a limit that most of you guys from future will come on and try and lift the bar. But at the moment, I've taken it right
The
to
bar's
top.
pretty high.
Yeah,
The
so-
bar- what would you call this outfit?
When I lost my virginity
To a lion,
to a monkey, actually.
a monkey. Was
was
it male,
taming it.
female?
I'm not sure because they
In the
gave
early
me.
80s?
No, yeah, it was in the 80s because I had a fetish when I was a young kid. I don't know if you've ever seen how bees swarm on something. So I put myself in some dog. I had dog food all over me and just let them fucking all over me, and they ended up biting my balls, and then I ended up fucking a camel, and then I ended up sucking a monkey. That's why I'm a circus now. I ended up going through the whole fucking tribe.
Yeah, right.
That's a wild way to get your career started.
Yeah, well, if you've got to lose your virginity, you might as well have 15 people fuck you at the same time.
I don't know if I've heard that, but it might catch on.
I'm just gonna take this and for the first time in this podcast history, reel it in a little bit, rein it in.
Okay.
And I just wanted to get to our weekly recap. I'm trying to do
Sure.
this every week.
Yeah.
I probably should have done it before all that, but now we're here. So I just
Yeah.
want to give my weekly recap. It's been a week since our last podcast. Not much has changed. I'd like to give my highlight of the week. It was without a doubt, I have a video on my phone of seeing Roger across the street walk in toward me with this amazing outfit.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's a moment that I will
Treasure?
forever.
Thank you.
Forever and ever.
Yeah.
Low light of the week will be seeing you leave. I already know what it is.
Yeah.
Liam, your high and low light of the week. Have you got anything in mind?
Yeah, I came around the bend and I saw the
outfit
Russian
too?
lion tamer sitting down on the table. I was just
Fuck, you guys must have had a very low week.
in awe. Yeah, it's been
Well,
a pretty,
it's pretty
it's been a pretty good
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Oh, since the
Pretty
game,
average.
Yeah,
minus the game, the win we had over the Tigers was pretty good. So
Oh, it was.
we had
It really was.
20-0 victory.
Yeah.
I don't know, didn't get any
Oh,
points
fuck,
scored.
both your teams are going great.
One better than the other, but we are both going great. Thank you for
I-
mentioning. Yeah,
You're a chance of meeting each other in the big dance.
yeah, we play you soon, eh? Are you back for that?
No, I don't know idea. When are we playing you guys?
You said Perth, maybe like.
No, it's round 23. That's ages away. But we're playing you. Oh, no, yeah, that's next time I'm playing you. Round 23.
Yeah,
I'm back
yeah.
for that and I will cave you. Don't worry. Now, I want to ask Roger, where
Yeah.
did it all begin for you, the sickest puppy in the eastern suburbs? Where was home? Where was home base? Where'd you guys come from? Tell me
Okay,
everything.
so I come from. Got an ethnic background. I'm an Italian. My mum and dad came out here. about 50 years ago. I was brought up in the eastern suburbs all my life. I've either lived at either Randwick, and then my parents actually did quite well in business and moved me to Vaucluse, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
Great area.
Looking back now, and you take sort of things for granted, because whilst they went really good, they also did a couple of bad investments, and we really went from living from the penthouse to the shithouse. And I ended up renting in a place in Kensington, just in a 1-bedroom. But mainly, I've been always brought up on the eastern suburbs. I went to a private school on a sporting scholarship.
Where at, might I ask?
I went to Sydney Grammar.
Okay, nice.
What sport running?
Yeah, track.
Track, yeah.
I mean,
Just
I don't know if
curious.
you ever
Was it
see
hard?
the kids.
Was it hard
Wasn't
to
sure
actually
if it
get
was-
scholarship to Sydney Grammar back then?
Well, okay, so that's a good question.
yeah.
They're spastics when it comes to sport.
No, I'm well aware. I used
Oh
to
my
verse them.
God. Fuck, like that we would have to surrender at half time every game.
Yeah.
So was it hard? Potentially not. I didn't have much to beat.
It would have been a good team to be tutored from, Maybe they had like the brilliant academics that weren't ever
But
there.
you know what? I'm sort of glad you brought this up, because I was just thinking about this today. I hated that school. I felt incredibly intimidated at that school. I don't know, now that I know that I suffer so badly with mental health, maybe I was always suffering with mental health. I couldn't quite get the grasp of the curriculum. I couldn't sustain concentration in classes. I was always, and when they used to issue a report card, and I thought this, if you go looking back on this, it would never be allowed in this day and age. They say there was 160 in the whole form. Say if you're in year 7, so there'd be 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D. We'd had 6 classes just in year 7, right? So it was quite a big school. The only reason I'm bringing that up, they graded you by your intellect. So I was always in the bottom one. But then when you also got your report card, they put down exactly how many people in the form and where you come in that particular subject.
So you're bottom 20 every time, whatever.
I
it
was
is.
always last of every subject.
Oh no, dead last.
Dead last.
Wow.
That wouldn't be very good for the confidence.
And they
This
show
is
everyone?
what this
They
is what I'm trying
everyone?
to show. Well, it's not easy. It's not hard to work out when it's they might hear a couple of times of Fabri,
Yeah.
and then it's like I always held that role. So I'd almost felt like I was defeated every time came to school. It's like I had no interest. In actual fact, what my own interest was to try and see if I could disrupt as much as I could. And I rebelled against it. I ended up getting expelled. If I tell you the story of how I got expelled, you'll freaking laugh your head off.
Please.
you wanna hear it?
Hey, it's a podcast. We like hearing stories on podcasts.
Yeah, this is a story.
So I was
What year?
in year 9.
Year 9.
Yeah. And
Early bloomer.
then the teachers were allowed to hit kids then, right? I used to get
Yeah.
hit all the time.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I'll never forget, it was Ian Luxford. He was a commerce teacher. He was actually a coach at Randwick Rugby as well. So he was quite strong, right? Not many people did weights or etc. there. So every time I'd go and sit in his class, even before I'd say anything, he'd fucking whack me with his knuckles right on the top of my head. Honestly, a couple of times I felt like I was almost concussed. Anyhow,
Well, just like a welcome to class, Roger.
without saying
Bang.
anything, just to
punch him in the
make
head.
sure, put me straight away on the back foot, just in
Wow.
case I wanted to disrupt anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a reputation. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just go to every class just to be completely disruptive. It was just, I think it was a long period of a certain type of behaviour, because I felt that I was never relevant, or nobody, they just dismissed me when it came to the intellect side of things. I sort of almost felt it was my own way to cope with things. So anyhow, I'll never forget it. This was a long period of time. This guy consistently downgraded me or abused me in some way, shape or form. It obviously knocked my confidence a lot. So I remember this last incident that happened. It was a Friday afternoon. It was in Commerce. And I'd walk in. It was the very last period on Friday. And I was just going to sit where everybody else would sit, right? And then straight away he segregates me. He says, okay, all you guys can sit on this side of the room. No one's near Fabri. Fabri can sit on the other side of the room.
You know, it's weird. I'm just imagining this. For some reason, it's in black and white in my head. So, like, I know you're not that old, but for some reason, I'm looking back in this picture you're sort of addressing now. It seems like it's a black and white picture. But
Yeah.
please go on.
Well, it was.
Is that really necessary to bring up?
I wanted to share that. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was
I'm
black and
enjoying
white,
it. The black
that's
and white.
Okay. It was in black and white.
Yeah.
in black and
It was
white.
black and white. Yeah,
Set the scene.
doom and gloom. Yeah,
So-
the scene set.
So I moved myself to that side of the room.
The black side of the room.
Well, yeah.
The
And
white side of the room.
he was, you know those boards? Well, it just converted over from chalk into a texter board.
Huge.
You know, so that was
Huge
massive.
shape.
That was massive for us. So he was writing on a texter, one of those white boards. Anyhow, as he was writing, and we had to write down whatever he was writing, he turned over to me and he said, "Okay, well, Fabri, why aren't you writing?" And I said, well, I can't actually see the board. I said, where you've put me on this side of the room, the sun is shining on the board. You're writing with a yellow texter. I can't see what you're writing. How do you want me to? He said, okay, so what do you want me to do about it? I said, well, you've only got two options. Option one is that you move me from this side of the room to that side of the room. Or option two, we had a walk-in wardrobe where all the texters, all the stationery was in. I said, go into the walk-in wardrobe, change your texter from yellow to black, and then maybe I'll be able to see it with the sun shining on it. And he said, well, I'm not going to do the first option. I'll go ahead and do the second option. So as he walked in, I fucking locked the door, left him in there, and I dismissed the class.
You dismissed the class.
Because nobody was ever going to back down. Because when you're a stirrer, everybody thinks, oh, you're okay, you know, you're tough. Or no, but I had a little gang, so I dismissed the class. But listen to this. This is not. I forgot about it. I'm only 15 then, right? This is Friday afternoon. There's no phones at those days. He's locked.
Don't tell me he's
He's in there till Monday.
He's there till Sunday night.
What,
His
what
wife
kind of
rings
cupboard
up
we're
the
talking about?
police.
Padlocking the door. Like, I'm snapping anything to get out of the room, mate.
But
What
he
kind of-
had to get out through 3 doors because also the classroom was locked after that as well by the janitors. And then so was the main office.
So the wife's calling through, where's my husband?
Yeah.
And that's how they found him. And
how
then that's
they
how
found
you
him.
got expelled.
Yeah.
That
If you're going to do
pretty
it,
hectic. That's mad.
if
If
you're
you're going to
gonna-
do it, yeah, I agree. Do it right.
I didn't think it was going to. I didn't know what the big problem was when I was walking up to the bus from the bus to the school. There was people actually waiting outside the school for me, and I'm thinking, what's all these people here for?
What's the fuss?
I forgot all about this guy. I was
he,
just like,
do you reckon he's forgotten about you?
oh, never,
How good ya?
never.
How good ya?
He'd probably want to kill me.
Wow, what an extreme way to be passed on from school.
Yeah.
What happened then? What followed? What followed your schooling years?
But then as I said to you previously, I thought I was always just going to fold into the family business. I didn't ever think
Which was?
we were in hospitality. We owned a couple of restaurants just down the road in Double Bay, actually. We had a couple in the city. So I thought that I was always going to be spoon-fed or going to be looked after. I didn't think that, and honestly, I actually thought I was the dumbest cunt in the world. I really did. I thought, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do in life, right? You know what I actually thought I was going to do? You're probably going to laugh at this as well.
Definitely porn.
Dancing?
Well, it's close.
Stripping?
You know that was the era that it just started out when you used to pull up at the traffic lights and the guys used to come and wash your windows with the
Interesting.
hands and
It's
whatever.
very
Yeah.
interesting you've mentioned this. We've talked
this
about this on this podcast before about the
Oh,
window
have we?
washers. and
Liam's
how
ambition
that's
is to want to
that's the
become
future of
Well,
Toby Rudolf after football.
that wasn't what I was. I thought I'd take another twist. I thought I'd wait for people to stop at the traffic lights and pull guys' zippers down and suck their cock while they're on the sideline waiting to cross the road.
Well, you know what? Funny you should mention that.
And I thought, how much? I just put a little tin around my head.
Nah, but you might get some other residue in there. Might not be ideal.
Well, I just thought it would be a great way to that's what my career was going to be.
Yeah, well, you know what? That luckily it has become a career.
Well, who's
I'm
doing
not-
it?
It's pretty
Oh, mate,
public
there's
way.
people out there doing it.
It's a pretty public way to go
Is
about
that
it.
really? Gee, well, lucky I ended up being a
It's a
speed
pretty-
coach because
it's a
fuck,
pretty
with
public-
my teeth, I'd end up fucking up for manslaughter.
Yeah, or just
there's other.
the
I
tearing of a
think
sausage.
Well, that's the last thing you want, I like them cooked. You don't want them raw.
No, you don't want them raw or
Fuck
torn
me
apart.
dead.
In
I
three
had some
places.
in my
I
ass.
feel like
and
there's a
blew it.
better way to go about that. It's a very public way to do it. Like, if you
So
want-
anyway, so that was
That didn't work out.
that didn't work out.
And then how did you go from wanting to suck blokes off at a traffic light to
being a
speed?
speed coach?
Because it seems like there's a bit of
Oh,
gravity.
there's a long way since then.
That's what I mean.
I had to go through so
that's
many
one
different...
path, and then for some reason you did a 360 and started walking the other
Well,
way.
there was a lot of things I had to go through before then. Then I just got normal jobs. I was in sales.
Still sucking blokes off, or did that sort of take you a little? Did you have to put the dream on hold for a bit while you had to chase the other dream?
As in, Was I still sucking men?
Yeah, like while this was all going
I had
on.
I had an incident because I tried to break the Guinness World Records. I tried to suck 17 cocks at the one time.
Yeah, okay.
I split the jaw,
Held
my
before
jaw out.
by Liam Knight, I believe.
No, it wasn't.
I was
Rex
third.
Mossop.
The third. Who was it?
Rex Mossop.
Rex Mossop.
Yeah, do you know him?
No, who's that?
He was a rugby league caller in the 80s.
Derek?
Well, he sucked cocks, a lot of them.
Okay, right, there you
So,
go. Yeah.
so I ended up in sales. That was really all I could do. I used to do door to door, and
What are you selling?
I was selling.
Optus.
How do you know?
I know a bit about you, Roger. Looked into it a little bit. Optus cable network or
Well
something. Yeah, you know a bit about me, mate.
Wow,
Fuck
nice.
that. Well, okay, yeah. So do you know when pay TV first started here? I don't even know if you guys were. Oh, you guys were just born. Were you born when it first came out? Fox and Optus.
Oh, I don't know. When did it first come out? I'm in 95.
It would have been just after
Would have
we were
been
born.
around there,
Maybe,
yeah. But
yeah. Around, I can't remember, around the 90s or something or other. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Anyhow, so I was selling door to door, and I was damn good at that as well. I was really good. Fuck, you meet some weird people knocking on doors. And I thought, well, if I can cut it on knocking on door to
I'll
door.
tell you what,
'cause-
Roger, sorry to interrupt you. There must be some pretty weird cats if you're calling them a weird cat. You know what I
man.
mean?
You
Like,
can-
I don't want to call a spade a spade here. Like,
100%.
there must have been some strange little kittens.
100%.
If Roger the Dodger's coming to the door and saying he's
what
weird.
the point I was trying to make is that I could relate to them because they were so
Oh, yeah,
fucking
so
weird.
you
That's why I
knew-
was so
they
good
knew-
at them.
you knew,
yeah,
yeah.
I knew I could just like bang, click.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that because I used to door knock. I
Yeah.
used to be a door knock salesman
Yeah.
for 1 month.
How did you like it?
I hated every
Torture.
second of it.
What a
It was the worst
career.
thing in the
Yeah,
world.
so hard.
Did you quit like you quit everything else?
What were you selling?
You went to rehab, you're a quitter. I was selling HelloFresh, door-to-door salesman selling HelloFresh boxes. You know HelloFresh?
Oh, he
The-
actually, I think they gave me one.
Yeah, well, this was when I was in Brisbane. I wouldn't have been around. If I would have
Okay.
seen you, it would have been very interesting times. But
He just sent it to me. Are they still going?
HelloFresh, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was awful. Just all seeing the face of the
Fuck,
entire
it's
time. But
hard.
there were no weirdos. I didn't get any freaks. I feel
Well,
like
it depends what area you worked in. Where you probably worked in Vaucluse.
No, I was in Brisbane in like the fucking slums of Brisbane.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
some pretty
Oh,
weird
well,
people
I was in. That's where I wanted to be, out west.
Yeah.
Because that's where people were most intrigued. They had
of course.
money to spend, so they were intrigued. Money was heaps easier then. Heaps easier. People had money. Fuck, times are tough now.
Yeah, things have changed.
So then I was also, as I said to you, a real bad sufferer of mental health. So how did I come across sprinting? When I first had my first suicidal episode, I was young.
How old?
I was about 22, so it's about 34 years ago.
What was
And
going
it
on?
wasn't so open. I didn't know. I tell you why I was. When you say what was going on, you know what my answer is going to be. I actually didn't know what I was going through.
Was
I
just
didn't
confused?
I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't understand why people. I felt life was overrated, and I suffered heavily with anxiety all the time.
Just like, was that a constant thing in your life? Or was
But
that
yeah,
like a
it was.
couple of
But
things
I didn't-
that
and
made
not
you feel
until-
that way?
See, back then it was almost taboo to talk about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as easy, as open as you guys have it. I'm not saying you have it easier now, but it
No, I know what you mean.
is a lot more prevalent now. There was only one person doing a course on anxiety disorders. The queue, it took me about 16 months to get into it. And when I first heard about it, I basically didn't feel I had 16 more months left in me. I couldn't wait. I was like, I didn't do anything, but my life was really hard. And then so I found by fluke that exercise helped me. You know, now we know there's so many things that can help you with anxiety because there's so much research done.
The ultimate regulator.
And I found the more intense the exercise was, the more relaxed I was getting, the more endorphins I was getting from it. So I wanted to do high intensity. I knew I was a good sprinter because I went to a school specifically with a scholarship for running. So I was always decent. So it was my first go-to. There wasn't gyms around in those days. There was one gym in Bondi Junction. So I used to just sprint and sprint and sprint. So what I was fascinated from was why did I get such a calming effect from it? So, and I started to get good at it, and I started to run in a couple of races, and I was winning a couple of races here and there. So the obsession to be the best version of myself in sprinting had to me go and keep traveling backwards and forwards overseas because I didn't have the luxury of the internet like you guys have now, and listen to people or coaches who had an idea or were looked at leading leading speakers about speed.
How are you getting in touch with these people and going?
I was. It's a really great question. I was subscribing to magazines, so I was on a subscription list, or whatever very small you would see on TV.
Yeah.
You'd get a clip on
Call
TV,
this number,
or
maybe,
something like that.
yeah,
No, there was no call this number. Then you just had to do your own research.
Where'd you go? Where'd you learn?
So, right then there was a guy called Charlie Francis, who's still by this day. Charles, yeah. He was in Canada, and I used to go over there. He had a guy called Ben Johnson at that time. I'm sure you would have seen him. He was a juiced up steroids.
Yeah, John O. We know.
And he ended up beating Carl Lewis, and he's got a
Carlos.
Carlos
Yeah,
Lewis.
couple boys getting around, yeah.
And so I went to listen to him speak, and then I used to go to Tom Tellers, who was Carl Lewis's coach, and listen to them. And I had so many of these mentors; it used to cost me a fucking fortune, going backwards and forwards. But all this was just to get tooled up to be the best version of myself. Then, how did I start getting some fame? I never ever thought this was going to be my career path. Never. I started having a little gang that were training with me, and I was getting great results, but I didn't give a shit. It was just more just for people who are weekend warriors or going into races. Then I ended up in trouble. And this is how I ended up, I know you at some stage will probably talk about it, that I was an addict as well. I was a gambling addict. So I thought that I was a gangster, which I wasn't. I was just pretending to be somebody I wasn't.
Yeah.
Hanging around with a bad crowd, badly. I've never dealt any drugs, but I rented out my garage to a drug dealer, and I got in trouble. I just took it on the chin, never opened my mouth, did my time.
How long did you do?
I did 2.5 years on the bottom.
Okay. Where was most of that?
No, I went to so many different jails. I probably went to six jails.
Moved around for being too cool, too weird?
No, it's the prison systems is quite stupid, because what actually isn't, if they start seeing you getting a little bit of popularity, they actually shift you, because they don't like you to be able to influence anybody else. And also I sort of feel that they go out of their way to try and make your job a little bit harder. I do want to say one thing on this podcast, right? And it's really important. I want people to know that I'm not proud of the fact, one iota, that I went to jail. And I know that so many people are inquisitive about jail stories, and
it does seem to be a topic that people want to talk about.
Yeah, I understand that people are inquisitive, or what's it like, and what it's. For me, it is it's the worst part of my life, and the only thing that, if it can salvage anything, is that I've never been ever close to ever going back, and in actual fact, I think I'm one of the people that has been a shining light coming out of those doors.
Yeah, you've done a lot.
I don't mind talking about it, but I see so many people that fascinated by these stories, and people want to go out of their ways to tell people that they've been in there. When for one second, I'm totally embarrassed of the fact that I ended up there.
Yeah, well, it seems like your process in the prison system has, pushed you forward towards a much better life. And you do a lot of work in the community, Roger, and you work with a lot of people, young people of all ages, trying to help them better their lives and better their own skills. So,
yeah, and
from me to you, mate, you've done a lot since then, mate.
And that was one of the messages I always wanted to try and do when I got out. Is to try and this is my philosophy. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it the best I can, or I'm going to be the worst I am.
Yeah,
As you can see with my intellect, at school, I was the worst. I was hopeless. There's so many things I'm hopeless at, but the things that I am good at, I believe, and I do believe all coaches should feel that they are the best at what they do. Because if you guys come to me, isn't my job to make you feel the best version of yourself?
Of course.
If I don't believe I'm the best, then how can I install you not being the best?
It's a great.
I have a question in relation to the coaching of Liam and of some other athletes I've heard of. So Liam and I were actually living together in Randwick at the time when he went down to be coached by the great Roger. Yeah. That's you, by the way.
Yeah.
And upon his return, I was like, how was it? How was the sprint? Was it all good? He goes, mate, for the entire session, I got fucking sprayed. And Dane Gagai was there as well. And for the entire session, all Roger would do, great coach, but don't get me wrong, first time I met him and he was just fucking
that's the way I
tearing shreds off me. And
where
does that come from?
So, again, I don't believe a coach should be a a cheerleader.
A coddler.
Well, and it's not that I go out of my way. It's my coaching style, right? I feel, and no disrespect to you guys at all, I feel that many coaches, and I've been in the football system, and I'm not, and this is just a general statement. I'm sure that everybody's different, but I feel football teams employ people and they think it's a privilege for the team to work for them. And then I feel that the people that work there suck the players' asses because they want to get close to them, and all my friends are footy players. You know, that in actual fact, I have nothing but praise for the NRL. It has fed my family and has given me an opportunity to be the person I am. If I didn't have the NRL and you guys that supported me or made waves, I would just be regular. So I first go out to the NRL and do appreciate. But at the same time, I do feel you're not there to be asked for a signature, or I'm here to coach you. I just want to put, it's not, I don't put reputations, we're all equal. Yeah. Let me just be the best version and let me try and give you some best tools that you will never get at training, something different. And well, I don't know, I don't want him to speak, but I'm sure that if he said, I'm sure he learned stuff that he's never been taught in his, not only because his coaches don't know, and this is in defense of your coaches that work there, you've got so many skills to coach tackling, wrestling, passing, kicking, whatever how much time you dedicate to speed. I mean, you're not stupid blokes. You probably do 20 minutes at the max. And if that's all it took to be fast, then fuck the whole world.
We don't do 20 minutes. Like you said, it's a component of our training, but it's not. I'm the middle as well, so the outside backs will do more. But like I went to you to learn something. Like I'm not a delicate man. Like I appreciated the fact you told me how it was. I did go home and say I got sprayed.
That's what you said. That's not what you said.
Obviously, Mr. GST over there in the green
turtle. That's not what happened. You came back crying.
After the tears. Don't interrupt me when I podcast, Toby. We're not a conversation at home where you can cry and make up stories and add a GST.
This is only facts here.
Yeah, I didn't go there to get my hand held. I did have to go there to learn. I thought some of the comments were pretty funny, and I remember young Dane Gagai wasn't very appreciative. I remember Gags had something going on with his left hand. Yeah. And I heard you say, "That's Gags. That's just shit." Gags' face turned. Never went back. It was the first and last session with Roger. Mate, it was so funny.
But that is just my style. It is my coaching style, and it has caused me some grief in my life.
Well, have you got
because you got to understand, some parents.
Well, they're coddlers themselves.
Could you imagine if I talk to their kids like
they're
that?
Little precious babies.
Oh, and I've had a guy want to come down and fight me.
Well, that was what I asked. Have you got any like training sort of altercation stories?
Yeah,
with
that one.
Anything?
I've only had one in my life.
Only one.
And I've had plenty that have left me.
Yep.
That I've found out,
one of them.
That I've found out on the grapevine that they just didn't like the way I spoke. But yeah, I had one guy who wanted to physically fight me.
How'd that go?
Oh, I was terrified. I can't fight.
Did you go back to the old dream of?
No, I just kept myself. But he went out of his way to threaten me, and he's like, "Oh, you're bullying my son." And I said, "Well, what are you doing now to me?" I said, that's just my coaching style. I've got nothing against your son. I don't even know him from a bar of soap. It's just the way I coach.
The word bullying. Bullying's a big word, like a big way to say that. Like, you're bullying my son. I'm sure you had some words that like weren't exactly encouraging, but like, what do they want you to do? Like, they want to send the kids there and get told they're the greatest. Like, you're there to learn. It's an environment. You want to get better. That's how you get better. You get told
again,
what you're doing right.
I promise you, that's one of the instincts one of the situations where I tell you that the world's gone mad. Because back in my day, you called me a wog, it was okay. I'm cool with it. We just live with it. You just get on with it.
I think these days,
it's no harm. It's just how is there any malice or anything? It's just the way life has evolved.
People are very delicate these days. You can't offend people because it's their right to not be offended somehow.
It's really hard, especially in coaching. It's really, really difficult, and you need to have. And again, I'm keep saying to myself, I'm lucky because it is the way I feed food on the table.
Yeah.
The best part about speed, and why I've done quite well in it, is it's a very quantifiable commodity. What I mean by that is there's no grey area. When you're coming to me, there's a stopwatch. You start at a certain time, and if the time's not progressing, then I don't have any luxury to hide. You're working with a footy skills coach. How do you actually know you're getting better as a player?
It's hard to measure.
No, we'll go and answer the question.
Yeah.
So, how do you know you're getting better?
Well, your performance improved on the weekend. I suppose your performances will improve.
But how's that down to you? There's 12 other players.
Yeah, of course. But if your individual performance improves, then you'd have to say it goes back to the foundation of.
But do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you can't actually measure it. You can't measure how you get better.
So do you think that if I wanted to misguide somebody, right, or pull the wool on somebody,
it only affects you.
Which area would be better that I should be in? Would it be a speed coach or a skills coach?
Skills coach.
Because it's not quantifiable. So you take little Johnny to work with Liam on his tackling technique, right? And and Danny over there is paying the bill. And you go over at the end of the session, say, oh, he's improving so much. Gets onto the football field, because it's not a real game situation, misses 3 tackles. You'll still get the job because you say, oh, there was instances that I couldn't plan for. I don't have that luxury. I basically will get an opportunity at a point, and then one thing that is for sure, those kids run at a school carnival, which is absolutely compulsory. If the time is not in the right direction, and I've been working with them, aren't they going to turn around and say to me, well, what the fuck have I been paying for? I don't have that luxury to say, oh, it was, I don't have those other offenders. So you got to be damn good at what you do. Talk all the shit you want, carry on whatever way you want on social media, but if you haven't got the facts to back yourself up, then fuck off.
What sets you apart?
Simply these types of things. I feel, I'm not going to say attention to detail. I think my passion, I'm extremely passionate. I'm sure everybody else as well. But experiences, obviously, I've got a big head start on everybody else. I've been in the industry for a very, very long time now. I understand mechanics really, really well. And I think what I do have the ability to be able to do, I have a very trained eye to be able to pick defects in mechanics at real time in real scenarios.
You either got it or you don't, Rog?
I think that's an art form.
It goes both ways. You're either fast or you're not. You either got the coaching ability or you
don't.
But
you came down there, right? And I don't want you to have that stereotype that forwards, because the game's getting faster and faster. Fafita just went the length of the field.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's a freak athlete, but I must say it.
But okay, so you again are putting yourselves in this box like, I shouldn't do speed training because I'm not noted as being fast. No, but why can't you be a faster version of yourself?
I 100% agree. I've told you on many occasions I'd be keen as to get down there. It's just that after the season is over.
No, but do you understand what I'm trying to? Yeah, I want to get away from this stereotype, because I have heaps of front rowers hit me up. Like I've been reaching out to Payne Haas, and I'm sure if I was if he was living around here, I'd be doing some stuff with him. I just want to change that mentality, because you guys are so damn mobile now as compared to what they were in the SE year.
Of course.
Oh, I'm definitely not putting myself in the bar. I'm just at training. We wouldn't train as much as the outside backs. We have other areas.
But why not though?
Because we have other areas we need to specialise in. We need to cover the mistakes that the backs make. We need to learn how to tackle better.
But so if you weren't, okay,
they got to run fast. We got to cover the mistakes.
So hypothetically, wouldn't that make your job easier if you were faster?
Yeah, Liam, you fucking idiot.
I'm in the same position.
Mate, I'm on Roger's training.
No, I'm just asking.
I went and saw Roger. Have you been to him?
Mate. He's on a podcast right now. You happen to see him.
But okay, so just because you guys are footballers, right? And I know I'm being biased because this is what I do, but can we agree on this at least? Is that the one skill that you're doing the most of, whether you're running slow or fast, is running?
Facts.
Fact?
But also...
No, I just asked you a question.
Facts. But this is not I've agreed with everything you've said so far. You said you wouldn't agree on one thing. I don't think there's anything you've said I haven't agreed with yet.
Okay, thank you.
You don't need to yell, Toby.
So if... This is where I come from. I'm like... So if it is the one thing that you do the most, would you also say it is the least coached or not coached at all?
Personally, for me, I've done a lot of work on my mechanics after my knee injury. That's all I did.
This is only post, and it's reactive to something.
It's reactive, yeah. But it's like you also said, like you can only do so much in a certain amount of time. We have so many things we need to work on.
But okay, but isn't it if you do something the most, you should spend some attention to it?
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing the most.
Of course, yeah, which we do. We probably don't. We wouldn't put aside as much time as I think you would recommend. But like you said, we've got a lot going on.
And I understand that.
As well is
I'm going to say something that you probably and your listeners won't like. is I don't see evidence of that. I see guys that playing at the highest level that they can't even put their arms and legs together when it comes to running.
I agree.
One thing about
It's a skill that's taken for granted. It's because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
massively.
can swim and we can run. It's not those things you won't
But no, not
technically
everybody
address.
can swim. But everybody in the whole world can run.
not everyone.
Yeah, well, unless you're disabled.
That's what I'm saying. Now, also, one thing with our running as well, because we're not really exactly running fast all the time. We have one speed of effort.
This is a common.
every 2
I get
minutes
this all the time.
and then we're jogging around the rest of the time.
But okay, so hold on. How many high intense efforts would you do in an 80 minutes? Certainly more than a sprinter would do.
Oh,
Come on.
We? Like as middles?
So
Stuck in the middle?
hold on.
I'd be
hold on,
lucky
hold on.
to get 10
As in high intensity efforts?
high intensity meters. I
Well, what's the definition?
Yeah,
Above 80%, I believe.
above 80%.
So you're saying that you never run above 80% of your maximum velocity ever?
No, I say I would, but I wouldn't know how many times I'd hit that speed.
I reckon I barely would.
I would barely. You get stuck in the washing machine.
Yeah.
So let me rephrase this. So are you saying that you run at the line at sub maximally?
Yeah, but we only have 15 carries a game.
So
We have, we have 5 to 10 meters to build
so
up.
all of those efforts are you're running half-heartedly?
No, we'll get 5 to 10
But I'm,
meters to build
I'm
up.
asking you
Running
how
as
fast,
fast.
how much are you trying to run? Are you running at 100%?
You're trying to.
Application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that goes back into the word of speed. It's an acceleration movement, right?
100%.
So if you need to sustain 15 types of those efforts, right? Hypothetically, don't you have to have a strength, a speed conditioning component?
We
How
do
do you
that.
know how do you know that your efforts can't be even faster and harder if you've never done a specific speed conditioning program?
We don't.
You don't.
You only know what
And
you
then
know.
so exactly.
I'm trying
The
to
rest of
break
my
back on
point.
the side here.
Exactly.
And I agree. I used to actually do sprint coaching, sprint training when I was 18. I don't know if it actually is still in effect at all, but I did it for about 2 years.
It's obviously not transferred.
I know you
Well-
guys play in the middle. Can I ask a question outfield?
No, we're at the podcast we're asking questions. So, Roger,
Sorry.
You're the
No, I
interviewee.
want you-
not-
I want you to ask
you're
a
the
question.
you're the interviewee,
I
not
want
the
you to ask a
interviewer,
question.
mate.
Ask the question. Ask the question.
And this is the last thing I'm going to say about that. Would you say? Oh, you guys would be too scared to say the answer.
Oh, here we go. Well, we can cut it out if it's.
No, you're going to be too scared
Go
to
on,
answer
go
because you
on.
don't want to offend your players.
Are you scared to say the question?
No.
It sounds like you are.
We've all, he's
I
the
want to
great
see you.
man.
Would you say that there's anybody that plays first grade if they didn't have speed, they wouldn't be in the team?
Wingers and stuff. Yeah, duh.
Wingers, yeah.
That's the only thing that they've got. So
Oh,
I know.
I see what you're trying to say here.
Okay.
Yeah.
In some
trying to
teams,
say, yeah.
there would be in some teams
There is,
for sure.
For
yeah.
sure.
If they're not
so
fast, there
so
wouldn't
basically,
be,
I'm saying. So the three of us are agreeing that if you had speed, you can make first grade.
if you were faster, it definitely helps your chances.
No. I'm asking
You're
you a question.
you're re-twisting our words.
No,
and
I'm not.
I feel like you are.
No.
I don't know, Rog.
There is players out there.
Yeah.
All right, I'll bring it back to you. If,
Okay, let me ask you this question: if you had strength and you were strong like Arnold Schwarzenegger, would you play first grade?
No, you look like a big fridge.
You
trying to
wouldn't
get
play
around the
first
field.
grade. So nobody gives a shit about that. So what I'm trying to say to you is that speed is one of the greatest acquisitions of nearly every game. If you got blessed with it.
But if you didn't get blessed with it and you can only train it so much.
But there are quality NRL players that don't have the most speed.
Pull your cock out. I said I sucked the cock. Fucking.
Oi, it's good to have you here.
Right.
Right. Say, we're having fun.
We're having a conversation.
I know, you did.
I told you.
You did. I'm not saying you didn't.
We're going to break the Richters here.
Thought-provoking conversations, Roger.
You don't think people are going to go crazy over listening to this and fucking trying to work things out?
I reckon
Yeah.
people are going to crash their cars going to work and listen to this in the morning.
Oh,
things you've been
100%.
saying.
Their day's going to be ruined if they listen to this in the morning. It's never going to get better.
Now look, we probably haven't even answered one of these questions
No, I've
yet.
actually sort of answered just
all
about
four of
them.
these questions that we've worked really hard over. we
Just
knew,
say, Brian,
you know, we knew we'd have to ask about three things and we'd just drag on and topic after topic would just
Yeah.
roll off the tongue.
Well, again, I'm going to blame Liam for this once again, as
Yeah.
you still train next to where I live and you still refuse to come over because your days are too busy doing fucking nothing.
On purpose, by design, I tell you I'm busy to stay
Yeah,
away
but
from you.
imagine this, right?
So was-
let me ask
was-
you this. Let me ask you this.
Don't point at me.
Let me ask you this, right? Imagine we actually, just like Roger's saying, we did the sprint training. We actually come together and we did more brainstorming ideas. Imagine So treat the brainstorming as sprinting. You do more sprinting, you get faster. You do more brainstorming, the product of the podcast gets better. But you don't want to do that because you're saying that you don't want to hang out at some point after training and live down the road because you're doing it by design. Please explain.
I don't think it has to be that simple. Like, I have been a very busy boy lately. We have definitely set aside time to get together. We are wasting, invaluable time. We have a guest here. You want to have a conversation with me? We can have that outside. We can have that downstairs, off camera.
No, I love it.
You're filming with my friend.
No, I've got a high opinion of both here.
Yeah, that's reciprocal.
Thank you.
Oh, massive fans.
It's a podcast.
What have you got here? So,
well, the podcast is called Stuck in the Middle, and you've obviously had some controversial times in your life, and some times where you've said you felt stuck, and you didn't. You had that attempt, and you've obviously had some time in jail and stuff. So you've seen no way out, but you're still here and you're thriving. So people out there that that might have been in a position like yourself, really struggling to see a way forward and been really stuck in life, what would your advice be to them, and how did you get yourself out?
I need to emphasize this strongly. I'm really passionate about this, and it's a touching point for me. I work damn hard on my mental health.
What does that look
promise
like?
you I work damn hard on it.
What does that look like, working hard on your mental health?
You may think that I'm lying, but this is I promise you. I dedicate 2 hours a day where the phone goes off, and I work on my mental health. I work strongly. When my dad passed away 4 years ago, I was again back into a suicidal position, and I didn't have the luxury of the first breakdown. I had my parents' support, so I didn't really matter if I was earning an income or not. I could just take my time. You know how long it took me to get over the first time? 18 months, because I had no idea. And I'm like, I've had this breakdown. I've been here before, but this time I don't have 18 months up my sleeve. My business would fall apart. I pay rent where I am. Being an addict all my life has fucked me completely as far as having anything to give me stability. I don't own anything. So I wanted to make sure that I had to get processes in place to make sure I get this over as quickly as I can. So I tried medication for the first time, and I am on medication. It was a rocky road. I had to find, I went through 3 different types of antidepressants. None of them worked for me. They actually made me worse before they made me better. And I'm thinking, I'm going to give up. And I still kept working hard at the same time, working out in the field and trying to present everything wasn't right. Everything was okay. So what does it look like? I meditate, I do breath work, I do cold showers, I do cold water therapy, I do therapy, I see a therapist once every month. I used to see him twice a week, and I do medication. And I mentor a lot of people. And that also actually helps my own progress.
Oh, yeah.
One thing you guys would have heard many, many times is, I'm here for you 24/7. That's all shit. People always say that, and they're not there. But I actually sleep with my phone underneath the pillow.
In case someone calls.
And it has happened many times. And I don't know if you do know this. Part of being a bad mental health sufferer, if you're sleep deprived, it makes your symptoms 10 times worse. So I have to wake up in the middle of the night and go and counsel somebody. Then I'm actually the next day I'm going to be fucked myself.
Doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, but I need to do that. So people say to me, you've got to look after yourself first. Yeah, but I know I've been there, and I sort of got other tools, and if it's really drastic, then I'll make myself uncontactable. So I do a lot for it.
Yeah.
I want to ask one last thing real quick.
Sure.
Best and worst athlete you've ever worked with?
Don't get me there, because the last time I said the worst, Zach Lomax fucking rang me up and told me that I threw him under the bus, and it was only just mucking around. So
hardest to coach.
So are we talking about which NRL? Are we talking what type?
NRL.
NRL.
We don't know sprinters' names, unfortunately. No, I know
but you could have said
all
NFL.
sprinters. I don't watch sprinting.
You could have said NFL. You could have said anything. The hardest trainer, as in hardest person to get them to respect
Results,
me?
yeah. Respect you going. Yeah, sure. Who's that?
Fuck, that's a hard question. I can't bag anyone, because everybody comes down there and gives me ultimate respect. Honestly, it's not a cliche. I couldn't find one.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Sitting on the fence. Very
no, I'm not
political.
sitting on my fence. I would never fucking do that.
I think
maybe the Fox, because he's a little bit sensitive. But no.
All right, Roger hates the Fox. All right,
put a line. Roger can't stand Josh Adokar.
Yeah, we won't put that out.
I don't know. I don't want to.
I won't tell him.
Well, I think unfortunately that's all we've got time for. Being rushed along here.
Do you want to do audience questions first?
Do we have any?
Do we have any audience questions? I don't
Have I got a time for an
last one.
exit? Because
Yeah,
you don't want to
time.
lose. You don't want to lose
Time
my
for an
exit.
I was going to say, honestly, we're going to have to get Roger back on because we're very pressed for time at the moment. I did have some more questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful though.
That was pretty powerful. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any?
I was a damn good podcast.
Yeah. Well, did you ever Would You Rather, didn't you?
Well, it's not even edited yet. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What was your Would
Thank
You
you.
Rather? You had a Would You Rather.
Yeah. Would
Penis
you rather
fingers?
have penises for fingers or wear a hat full of spiders?
I'll answer
or
Roger's
hatful
for him.
spiders?
Imagine Roger with a handful of penises. He'd be a
I'd be
pig,
sucking
and he'd be
all
like a
day.
pig in mud, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
Kid in the candy store, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go the penis
But you
fingers.
guys
For...
have to put it forward. You can't. I'm not in it.
So the question is, would you rather have penises for fingers or wear a hat full of spiders? I think that's pretty much an easy question for anyone.
Pretty terrible question. if
Spiders
you
are
ask me.
fucking. They're terrifying.
Spiders aren't
and
for me,
penises
eh?
are mad. So
You get 10 penises to walk
Yeah.
around with.
Fuck, you can put them in every hole you got. What, 2 in your nose, 2 in your ears, 1 in your mouth, 1 in your asshole.
Has to be some noodle.
couple on
Like,
your eyeballs, good to go. Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
yeah.
Anyone out there listening, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again. Please send in your would you rathers, your questions, your funny little queries or tales, anything at all. We'll listen to answer everything and anything. And just thank you so much for listening. Love you all very much. Thank you, Roger, for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. We had a ball.
We wouldn't want to let Roger walk away without it.
No, I've got an exit. I've always got an exit.
Feast your eyes.
Yes.
How'd you do, man? See you next, man. Faithful hand in hand.
You better be getting nude.
Just a little brought down.
Is he getting nude?
When you not.
There's a lot of buttons to undo.
Don't get strung out by the way I look.
Dude, help.
Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man, but
Where's my
a lot
phone?
of
Film
pain.
this. Film this man.
Whoa! I'm just a sweet
This podcast was made by Afternoon Sport Group.